Good afternoon. Welcome. My name is Curtis with Three Tier Defense. I'm coming on today to speak about a few questions that I was asked over the weekend and actually this morning. So what I'm going to speak about, I'm going to try not to make this a real long video, but it is a very important video. And the questions that I was asked are questions that I'm pretty sure a lot of people may have questions about, and just really haven't probably got around to asking the questions. So I'm gonna try to go ahead and answer some of those questions right now. If you do have any other questions, I mean, you can comment on the video, you can send me a direct message, and I will get those answers to you or discuss the options that you may have depending on your question. So I'm pretty much going to try to go over actually five questions that I've been asked. The first question is carrying a firearm, as far as like the laws and things like that between your states, local laws, compared to federal laws, things of that sort. So I'm going to discuss that. So carrying a firearm. I'm going to discuss options as far as holsters, what may be a good option for you as far as holsters, the different levels of holsters, positions, carry positions, whether inside the waistband, outside the waistband. So I'm going to discuss the three main carry positions. You do have a couple other options as well, but it's really three main carry positions. So I'm going to discuss those. I'm also going to discuss pretty much situational awareness. I'm just going to touch on situational awareness a little bit. I was asked as far as like what is some of the main points that attackers may look for and how can a person avoid those type of attacks. And the fifth question that I was asked is actually carry positions and carry holsters if you may be overweight. So I'm going to discuss that as well. So the first thing, carrying a firearm in general. Every state is different when it comes to carrying a firearm. Best thing to do is actually look at the laws of your state. All right. Yes, I know federal laws trump state laws, but federally, they have pretty much given some control to the states. So you actually have to look at your state laws and then also look at your laws locally in your area, because there are some laws that some municipalities that you may have in your area will actually set a couple extra laws within carrying a firearm in that specific municipality. For example, like here in St. Louis, we have St. Louis City, we have St. Louis County. St. Louis County has different municipalities in the county. Different municipalities can set certain laws and certain standards within that municipality that you still have to abide by. So you want to make sure that you're paying attention to the laws, not only on the federal side, but also on the state side, and then whatever city you're in, local laws and things like that as well. So that's pretty much carrying a firearm. Do you have the right to carry a firearm? If I'm not mistaken, I believe every state gives you some type of right to carry a firearm. I know a lot of people say, we have a Second Amendment right, but I don't want you to put yourself in a bind or get your firearm, your firearm privileges restricted or taken away from you. All right. So I really want you to make sure that you're paying attention to the laws of your state. The laws here in Missouri would be different than the laws, let's say, in New York or in California or Nevada or Texas or Florida. But just make sure you're paying attention to the laws of your state. When you look at carrying a firearm, if you are leaving your state or if you plan to leave your state with a firearm, you want to make sure that you have your concealed carry permit from your state. You also want to make sure that you're looking at the map to see what states honor or have limits and things like that pertaining to your state's concealed carry permit. All right. There's different ways that you can look that information up. But let's say if you're traveling from one state to another state, your state may be open carry or concealed carry. You may not technically need a concealed carry permit. Again, let's say here in Missouri, you don't technically need a concealed carry permit to carry a firearm in Missouri. But again, when you look at municipalities, when you look at some of the other things, as far as some of the laws, you may be required to have a concealed carry permit. Just because Missouri does not require you to have a concealed carry permit, you cannot cross state lines into another state without a concealed carry permit for your state. So let's say here in Missouri, let's say if you want to go to Kansas, all right, you cannot cross outside of Missouri into the state of Kansas with your firearm without a concealed carry permit. Okay. So you want to make sure that you're paying attention to your bounds, and what the laws say for your state when dealing with a concealed carry permit. If you do need one for the state itself, or if you don't need one, like I say, for like Missouri, you do not need one. Is it good to have one? Of course, because not only are you getting the laws surrounding carrying your firearm, but then you're also getting training. If you're not really trained or really comfortable with carrying a firearm, you're getting different awareness tips. You're getting defensive tips. Some instructors like myself, I actually put in some hand-to-hand combat defensive techniques in my concealed carry permit training course. Some other instructors may not do that, but just going through and being able to ask questions pertaining to different laws, different defensive techniques, situational awareness, things like that, different type of firearms that they have. So they're not really knowledgeable about them. Yes, they can show you how to load them. They can show you how to, function check them. They can show you how to shoot them, things like that. But when you look at an actual certified instructor, there's a little bit more in-depth things that we can actually go into, more questions that you may have that we can actually go into. We're looking at bullet type, bullet weights, grains of bullets, things of that sort. So when you look at carrying a firearm, just make sure you're paying attention to the laws of your state and also the local laws of the city that you stay in to see what their laws are. When you look at holsters, we're going to talk about holsters. I had a question about holsters, and what I told them was that you have 4 different levels of holsters. They really couldn't believe that there were 4 different levels. They thought all holsters pretty much were the same. You have 4 different levels of holsters. You have level 0, you have level 1, level 2, and level 3. All right. For concealment, I personally would suggest getting a level 0 or a level 1 holster. You can also do a level 2 holster, but that depends on your comfort level when you're looking at carrying. How fast would you be with your draw to defend yourself if you have a level 2 holster? Level 3 holster is pretty much used by security personnel, law enforcement personnel, and I'll explain why. I do have some holsters here with me. The holsters that I have are actually a level 1 holster and a level 2 holster. I do not have any level 0 holsters, but I'll explain what those are. And then a level 3 holster, I don't have one with me, but I do use a level 3 holster at work when I carry at work. But I'll explain what the level 3 holster is as well. But when you look at the holsters that you have, so a level 0 holster would be no retention at all. So it's pretty much like some people may just call them like a pocket holster, or it may be just like a cloth holster. It doesn't have any mechanisms or anything like that to where you could clip them on yourself. You pretty much, some people will also say it's pretty much like a binding holster. So let's say it's a lot of times it's made out of cloth, and you pretty much put them in between your pants and your skin, and it just sits there. It doesn't clamp onto a belt or a drawstring or anything like that. It pretty much just sits between, let's say, your waist and your pants. It's like a friction type holster. You can also find a level 0 holster, which could pretty much be what they would call a pocket holster. You could put that inside of your pocket to put your firearm in your pocket. So that really would be considered a level 0 holster. All right. A level 1 holster is a holster that has some retention. Usually with these type of holsters, when you put them into the holster, it'll kind of snap in. All right, to give you some retention, to where, let's say, if you're going out jogging, or you just want more stability when you're carrying your firearm, things like that. So, it's a level 1 holster. I do have a level 1 holster here with me. Most of the time, I would carry a level 1 holster. I wouldn't even worry about a level 0 holster, and I really don't worry about a level 2 holster unless, let's say, if I'm out in the field or doing tactical training or something like that, I'll probably have a level 2 holster. On my tactical belt, I do have a level 2 holster. Like I say, on my belt for work, My security belt, I have a level 3 holster. But the level 2 holster that's on my tactical belt, I actually changed it out. But I do have the original level 2 holster that I had on my tactical belt, so I'll show what that holster is and the locking mechanism for that holster. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you the level 1 holster, which would be here. So you see on the back side of the holster, you do have a clamp here to clamp on a belt on a drawstring. And it actually gives you a little bit of assistance. Let's say if you go to pull your firearm out of your holster quickly, there's a little lip down here on the bottom, all right? And that sits up underneath your belt or up underneath your drawstring or something like that, but it pretty much helps your holster stay in place. The level 0 holster doesn't have anything like that. So that's one of the things you have to be cautious about, where if you go to pull your firearm quick, the entire holster may come off. So you want to make sure that you practice your training with whatever type of holster that you plan on using. But again, with the level 1 holster. Now, when I say the level 1 holster would clamp in to give you a little bit of retention, with this and all of your holsters, let me step back real quick. With all of your holsters, make sure that the trigger guard is covered on your holster on both sides. That way you won't make a mistake. When you go to draw your holster, you make a mistake and put your finger into that trigger housing. And as you're pulling up, if you do have some retention or anything like that, you pulling the firearm up, your finger may slip and pull that trigger. So you want to make sure that you have some type of covering, full covering for that trigger housing. All right. So like this here, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this firearm out. I'm gonna show you that there is no magazine in the firearm. I'm gonna go ahead and open the firearm. That way you all can look and check and make sure that the firearm is empty. I don't have any ammo around the firearms, but I am going to do a double check. All right. So this holster here is specifically made for a Shield M&P. Sorry, Smith & Wesson Shield M&P, either a 9mm or a 40 caliber. All right. So I have the 9mm Shield here. I'm gonna go ahead and lock the slide open. All right. So we didn't have any rounds that came out of the slide area, and then you can check and look down. Put your finger down here. Make sure there's no rounds in there, but you can see that there is no rounds in this firearm. All right, and again, the magazine is out. All right, so with this firearm, it's a single stack firearm. It's real slim. As you can see, the profile is real slim. So this is a nice firearm to carry. They do have a Shield Plus that's out, which is a double stack firearm. It's a little bit thicker than this, but it is still very slim to carry, so it is easy to carry. And then they also have a Shield X, M&P Shield X that's out as well. This shield here is a 3.1-inch barrel. The Shield Plus is a 3.1-inch barrel as well, so they're the same size. But the Shield X is a 3.6-inch barrel. All right, so it's a tad bit longer, but again, really just depends on how comfortable you are with the firearm when you're carrying it, how comfortable it is with that half-inch of extension on the slide in the barrel. But again, it really just depends on you. So you can see here on your trigger, this whole housing part right here, you want to make sure that the housing part is covered on your holster when you're carrying that firearm. You don't want to go to pull the firearm and your finger sits in the holster. I'm sorry, in the trigger guard as you're pulling the firearm out. So you want to make sure that this trigger guard here is fully covered when you carry your firearm in your holster. All right. So with this holster here, you'll be able to hear it clamp in. You can't really see any locking mechanisms or anything in here. There's no buttons on the side that you'll have to hit to release the firearm from the holster as you go to draw. So again, this is one of the main reasons I really like the level 1 holster. I'll show you on the level 2. The level 2 holster, it pretty much will have a button or something like that on the locking mechanism for the holster. Still easy to pull, but again, you just want to do your training and everything with whatever holster you're actually carrying. So with this one, I'm just going to go ahead and put this into the holster and you'll hear it lock in. All right. So I don't know if you heard that, but you can see the retention that it has. But let me see. All right. So it locks in. This firearm is not going to fall out. You do have some tension on here, like a tension screw on some of your holsters where you can actually tighten the tension or loosen the tension up. On this specific one, this is a Blade Tech holster here, but on this specific one, you don't have a tightening or loosening screw for the retention. But you heard that it clamped in. If you going jogging or anything like that, it's not going to fall out. All right, so it's pretty much secure in this holster. And again, your trigger is covered, so when you go to pull this firearm, you can't put your finger into that trigger. All right, which is a real good thing until you clear the trigger housing as you're pulling the firearm out. Then as you're coming up, then if you need to go ahead and set up, then you can go ahead and put your finger in the trigger housing. All right, so this is a level 1 holster. We're going to move to a level 2 holster. This was the original holster that I had on my tactical belt. This is an outside the waistband holster. It is pretty much fitted for a belt, so it doesn't have any clamps or anything like that on it for just putting on your clothes. But this is the level 2. You can see on the back side, this right here is just a shield to stop anybody if they're in front of you to try to go for your firearm. This is actually blocking the level 2 mechanism, which is right here. All right. So with this out, let me go ahead and take this out. There is no magazine in the firearm. Let me go ahead and take this out so you can check and make sure that it's clear and empty. All right, so you see that there's no rounds in the barrel. You can go ahead and put our finger in there just to double check, but there's no rounds in the barrel, and there is no magazine in the firearm. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and put this back in. You'll hear that clamp in as well, so it's actually just locking in. All right, so it's just locking in. It's not coming out. If you just try to go to pull it out, unlike the level 1, this is locked in to the holster. Okay. Again, on the back side, you have a lever back here. You can pull that lever back, and it'll release the tension. That way, you can go ahead and draw your firearm. All right. They call this a thumb release. Yes, I'm doing it with my index finger now because it's not set this way. So if it was set this way, and I go to grab the firearm, I will grab the firearm here on the grip, and my thumb is already right here where the lever is at. All right. So all I do is push down on the lever, and that will release my firearm for me to go ahead and pull my firearm out. Okay. So this is a level 2 holster. And again, with your level 2 holster, you will have some type of lever or mechanism on it that locks it in, and you'll have to hit some type of lever or a button that'll be like right here on the side. They do have some holsters where you have a button here on the side. They have a lever here on the back side of it. The one that has the button here on the side, I personally have mixed reviews about that. But for that specific holster, when you go to put your hand on your grip, your finger is right here where that button would be at. All right. So if you hit that button, you'll be able to slide the firearm out. The mixed reviews that I personally have about that is because it's on the outside of your holster. Okay. So if somebody come up behind you, if somebody see that you're carrying a firearm, like I say, with this type of holster, it's outside the waistband. So you may be carrying open carry. So you may have your firearm exposed, open carry. If somebody sees that firearm and look and see that pressure point on the outside, if they come up behind you and go to grab your firearm, their finger is right there where that pressure point is as well. So they can hit that pressure point and remove your firearm out of your holster. Okay. That all boils down to firearm retention and holster training and different things of that sort. But that's really the mixed reviews that I have on the holster that has the button here on the outside. Again, if you have the button here on the inside, even with that, I'm gonna go ahead and stand up for a second. So if I have my holster on, okay, even if somebody come up behind me, the thumb switch is right here to my body rather than it being on the outside of the holster. So again, if somebody come up behind you and grab your firearm, if they push in on that button, they go ahead and pull your firearm out. The reason I like this is because the switch is actually, or the lever is in close to your body. So it's a thumb lever. All right. So even when you go on to grab your firearm, if you're going down onto your beaver tail to grab your firearm, your thumb is already right there where the lever was at. So all you got to do is just hit the lever with your thumb and go ahead and pull the firearm out. All right. So I can still do it even quickly because my thumb is right there where the lever is at. All right. So I can put it into my holster. It snaps in. And then if I need to go ahead and pull it, get into my defensive stand, go ahead and hit the lever and go ahead and pull out on your firearm. It's really, again, it's the same thing if you have the release lever here on the outside. If you push down on it, you can go ahead and just hit the the lever, and even with that, it's keeping your finger on the frame as you come out. And as you come up to present your firearm, your finger is on the frame. But in a defensive situation, you don't want anybody to know where that lever is to be able to take your firearm off of you and out of your holster. Okay, so that's another good thing that I like about the thumb lever, which is right on the inside of your body. And again, I mean, you can do that rather quickly because your thumb is on that side of the holster anyway. So as you come down, you're just taking your thumb and just pushing back on that lever to go ahead and remove that lever out of the holster. All right. So if I didn't hit that lever, I can't just snatch the firearm out. All right. That'll give me time to go into firearm retention, holster retention, and things of that sort. If somebody was trying to take my firearm, get them off of me, and then I can go ahead and pull my firearm myself. All right. So that's a level 2 holster. A level 3 holster has 2 locking mechanisms. And like the level 3 holster that I carry at work is made by a company called Situational. You do have a lot of different companies out that make level 1, 2, and 3 holsters differently. More so level 2 and 3 holsters because you have a button that you have to push to release the firearm from the holster. Again, you do still have a lot of different manufacturers that just make firearm holsters in general. So you may have to check a couple of them to see what'll work best for you. But again, me personally, I tend to stick with the level 1 holster. I really don't too much do a level 2 holster. And like I say, if I do a level 2 holster, it'll be more on like my tactical gear or something like that. But on my work equipment, I'll carry a level 3 holster. So on a level 3 holster, again, I don't have a level 3 holster here. It's actually on my belt at work. But a level 3 holster will have 2 locking mechanisms on it. I'm going to use this one here for example. So on a level 3 holster, and you may see a lot of police officers with level 3 holsters. There are, again, different manufacturers that make level 3 holsters. They make them different, but again, just really depends on your skill level and what's comfortable for you. So on the level 3 holster that I have, which, like I say, is made by Safariland, there's a hood. So when you put the firearm in, you put a hood up, and then there's a locking mechanism or a locking lever on the backside of the level 3 holster. All right. So with the hood, when you put the hood up, there's a mechanism that locks the hood on, and then there's a lock that locks the hood locking mechanism into place. All right. Then you also have some level 3 holsters, and they could push that into like a level 4 holster, but you do have some level 3 holsters to where you have a locking mechanism. You have to push down, you can rock, and then pull your firearm out. So that's, yes, it has, maybe one could have 2 locking mechanisms on it, but then also that either push down, rock forward, and pull out could be considered a locking mechanism also, which will put that more into like a level 4 category. But again, it really just depends on the manufacturer that you have, the training that you have, and things of that sort. Me, myself, personally, I would suggest just about for anybody that plan on carrying at least a level 1 type holster, something that has some retention or something like that in it if you're going to be doing inside the waistband carry. Now, if you want to talk about belly band carry, or they do have some holsters for ladies that may want to carry on the thigh. When you go and talk about, let's say, a belly band holster, all right, that's really pretty much would be considered a level 0 or maybe a level 2 holster, because some of those holsters does have a Velcro strap that you can put on the top of it, or that goes across the top of it to keep it in place. Some of the other belly band holsters, just the firearm just slides in, and it doesn't have a cover or anything like that. So some of your belly band holsters will either be a level 0 holster, or it could potentially be a level 2 holster, because it does have that strap that you will be able to strap the firearm down into the holster itself. All right. And then when you look at some other holsters, people may have different optics or flashlights and things like that on their firearm, and they may want to carry it like that. Do they have holsters for that? Yes, they do. This holster here is a level 1 holster. But as you see, I do have an optic on here. I do have a flashlight on here. It's a little bit thicker and wider than a regular holster with no optics or anything like that on it. On this, you could potentially get a holster like this for a thinner firearm that has a lower cut for an optic, and it'll still pretty much fit the same way. It's just the cut here will be lower, pretty much like this one here. how you got the lower cut. If I didn't have an optic on here or ordered the holster without the option or without the optic feature, this cut may be higher, all right, to be more back here, and then it'd be a little bit slimmer. I'm sorry, a little bit thinner as far as the width of it. Okay, but like I say, down here on the bottom part, I do have a flashlight on it, which is why this is a lot wider. You do see I have my clamps here for inside the waistband. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pull this firearm out. You see there is no magazine in the firearm. All right, so we're going to go ahead and pull this firearm out. We're going to go ahead and check it. Make sure there is no rounds in the firearm. We put our finger down in there just to double check and make sure. All right, so there's no rounds in the firearm, and again, the magazine is out of the firearm, so we can go ahead and close this. But as you see, so I do have an optic on this firearm, and I do have a flashlight on this firearm. If you want to carry your firearm in this configuration, where if you have just a light and probably no optic, or an optic and no light, you'll just order the holster the way that your configuration is on your firearm. Again, with this holster here is because I have an optic, which you have the low cut here at the top, and then I also have a flashlight on here, which is why you have it a little bit wider. This part back here where the flashlight would sit would be in some if you just had an optic on your firearm and no flashlight, so it'll be a little bit slimmer. But again, you do have the option to be able to carry your firearm, your concealed firearm, with a flashlight and with a optic on the top of it. So they do make holsters for that. And again, this is the level 1 holster, just like the one for the Smith & Wesson Shield. So it does have retention, but there are, as you can see, there's no levers or anything like that. So it's pretty much just a level 1 holster. And again, if I put this into my holster, you can hear that it clip in. All right. So again, that's giving me retention, and all of that is not just going to, fly out. It is fitted for this specific firearm the way that I ordered the holster. All right. So those are your holster options. Again, if you're looking at doing like a belly band holster or something like that, it really just depends on the type of holster that you get, what feels comfortable to you. If you're at the store, you may just talk to the salespeople at the store, see if you could try the belly band holster on. They do have different sizes, so you want to just make sure that you get one that is your size. So you want them to make sure that they fit pretty snug and that they will hide your firearm, depending on what type of clothing that you wear, whether you're male or female. If you're female, if you wear a lot of slimmer clothes, you want to make sure that the firearm is concealed and really concealed properly up under the type of clothes that you wear. So you want to make sure that you keep that in mind. If you're a male and you're doing a belly band holster with men, usually we wear clothes that are a little bit bigger. So, I mean, you really shouldn't have a problem, but then again, it also depends on what type of firearm you're carrying, how big the firearm is, and things of that sort. So you want to make sure that you keep that in mind when you're looking at the different type of holsters. If you notice, I didn't mention purse holsters. I did have questions about purse holsters. There's different opinions about purse holsters. Me personally, I would always tell a woman never to carry their firearm in their purse. I do have some women that give me pushback on that. Again, whatever's comfortable for you. But one of the things that I've seen, that I've noticed, and women would tend to try to tell me this when we're speaking about holsters. Well, I always have my purse with me. I wear a crossbody or something of that sort. That's all fine and dandy, but you also have to look at it. If your firearm is in your purse and you have a purse snatcher, now you all are fighting for your purse and your firearm is in your purse. Well, I have a crossbody. What some people are doing now as far as attackers, they're carrying little pocket knives with them. If they see that you have a crossbody on or something like that, they could take that little pocket knife out when they come to attack you, grab it, cut it, and now they have your purse. Okay. Some people don't really think of like how quick, for one, an attack can happen. For two, what state your body goes into when you are being attacked. And then for three, how quick some of these attacks will happen and your property will be gone in a matter of seconds. All right. So when you look at just different scenarios, you have to look at everything that could be entailed in those scenarios. There's a lot of things that we miss, mostly because we haven't been in that position. So we may just look at the outer portion of it. Oh, well, if somebody come to grab my purse, I can just tuck my purse, or I can do this, or I can do that. You're looking at just the basis of it. You're not looking a little bit more in detail of what an attacker may have at their disposal that you don't know about. Again, like a little pocket knife or something like that. So you want to make sure that you have your firearm on your person, not necessarily in your purse. Also, I've actually seen it, and I spoke with the young lady about it. She didn't know that it was right there at the top, but I actually seen it. So I was walking through a store, and a young lady had her purse in her basket, right there at the top part of her basket, and her purse was kind of open, and laying right there on the top of her purse was a firearm. I stopped her because the basket was like right beside her, but this is what she was doing. Now, mind you, her purse was sitting right there at the top in the little basket part at the top, but this is what she was doing. Reaching up, looking at different ingredients and looking at different products on the shelf, not paying attention to her purse. There was multiple people walking by her as she was doing this, firearm sitting right there on top of her purse, on the inside of her purse, but her purse was kind of gapped open a little bit, and she was looking at different things. I walked by. I wasn't necessarily looking in her purse, but I was actually looking down at my basket because I was looking to see what all I had in my basket. In my peripheral vision, I seen her purse open, which kind of made me look over that way. Right there at the top, seeing a firearm. Me, being an instructor, pull my basket back. Excuse me, ma'am, you got a firearm in your purse? Yes, how you know? Your purse is open and your firearm is sitting right there at the top. Oh, thank you. Somebody else probably wouldn't have did that. If you would have had somebody, walk by that was really paying attention, and her back being turned or her side being turned, if she's not paying attention to her purse or what's right there at the top of her purse, somebody could have just walked by, reached their hand in there, grabbed their firearm, and just kept it going. All right. But again, me being an instructor and trying to make sure that everyone around me is safe and secure, I did tell her about that. She did go ahead and zip her purse up. And I just told her, just make sure she's mindful of where her firearm is, and if she's actually showing her firearm. All right. But that's something else that you have to think about. Okay. Again, if your firearm is in your purse, it could be under other stuff. So if an attack happened, how quick can you get to your firearm in your purse? Like I say, some women give me a lot of pushback on that because they're like, well, I always have my purse with me. Yes, but your hand is not always in your purse. Well, I usually have my hand in my purse. No, you don't. That's an uncomfortable position to walk in, trying to have your hand in your purse. That's unnatural. No, you could say it. It may sound good to you, but with me being a trainer and for how many years I've been doing this, and then just watching women walk and interact with each other and things like that, even with a purse on, that purse is just either on your shoulder or you got a crossbody on. You're really not even paying attention to that purse. So I know your hand is not like this, walking everywhere you're going with your hand in your purse. It's unnatural. But yes, just make sure that you're paying attention to what you have. And how you're carrying your firearm, and some of the things that, again, you may want to look out for, and some of the things that attackers may be looking for as well. Next thing we're going to talk about is carry positions. There are mainly 3 carry positions. If you want to count a belly holster, that could be an additional position. If you want to talk about a thigh holster for the ladies, that could be an additional position. But there's really 3 main positions, and they're all around your waist. So you have an appendix carry, which is in the front. You have a hip carry, which is, of course, on your hip, and then you have a lower back carry, which you'll carry in the lower part of your back. So again, all of them are around your waist. You will always have control of it. Of your firearm, depending on where you carry it at, whether you're doing open carry, inside the waistband carry, but you know where your firearm is. Personally, I would always suggest doing an appendix carry. And an appendix carry would be here in the front, whether it's on either side of your pelvic area. Again, your hip would be here on your hip, and then you have your lower back carry, which would be the small of your back, either canted off to the left or the right side. I don't know if people really have seen the videos of people carrying in the small of their back, but they're not really paying attention to the firearm. In these videos that I've seen, I think I've posted a couple of them a while ago, but people aren't paying attention to the firearm. It's not in a holster most of the time. It's usually just tucked into the small of the back. And people have been getting their firearms taken with it being in the small of the back. Again, they're not paying attention to it. And it's right there pretty much for an attacker to pull your firearm. Okay. Again, depending on the type of clothes that you wear, if your shirt may come up in the back and expose your firearm, you may not know. You could have things in your hand. If you're at a store or something like that, you could have things in your hand moving around. You could not just be paying attention and somebody come up behind you and take your firearm out of the small of your back. So I would not suggest the small of your back. Also, if you get into a tussle and you can't pull your firearm, and let's say you go down on your back, your firearm is underneath you. Do not carry your firearm. If you did decide to carry your firearm in your back, do not carry your firearm directly in the middle of your back. Can it off to the left or the right side. Go ahead and pull the shield real quick. Again, just double check, no magazine, no rounds in the chamber. All right, so we're going to say with a small of the back carry. Again, you want to can it off to either the right or the left side. So you either have it here, can it off, or you will have it here, can it off. Do not carry your firearm directly in the middle of your back, okay? The reason you don't want to do that, because again, if you go down, if you're in a tussle and you go down and this firearm is in the middle of your back, that's your spine, that's your tailbone, and all of that. You can go down on this firearm and you can injure your tailbone, you can injure your spine. Depending on how hard you go down or what you go down on, concrete, a curb, anything like that, you can damage your spine because the firearm is in the middle of your spine. Okay? If you have it canted off to the left or the right side and you go down, yes, it's going to hurt. All right, because you have a bone right there. So yes, it is going to hurt, but it's not in the middle of your back where your spine is. All right. So if you do decide to carry in the small of your back or in the middle, in your back, not the middle of your back, but if you do decide to carry in your back, please make sure that you are paying attention to that firearm and where it's at. Another thing that I tell people about carrying in the small of your back, if you do have an attack that happens, carrying in the small of your back will take one of your hands out of the fight. All right. So if you're up close, most attacks would happen anywhere between 1 and maybe 5 feet. So you have to look at how much distance you have to be able to react, to defend yourself, and be able to pull your firearm. But again, you're taking one of your hands out of the fight because you have to reach behind you. So you have to try to get this person off of you, stop them from charging you, and be able to pull your firearm almost instantaneously or simultaneously to be able to defend yourself, depending on if they have a weapon and all of that. But that's something totally different that goes into like the laws of your state. But so you want to make sure that your firearm is positioned to be able to get to it in a defensive situation as quickly as possible. All right. So that's why myself, I lean more toward appendix carry. Yes, you could do hip carry as well. But the thing with hip carry, it may look like a phone case or something like that, but it also depends on how big your firearm is. If I have this shield or something thinner, Hellcat, SIG P365, Glock 43, something like that, something that's thin, yes, carrying on my hip may be a little bit better because it's a thinner firearm. If you carry a thicker firearm, something like the FN, regular Glock 19 or a Walther, something that has a thicker profile and a thicker magazine well, all right, with a thicker magazine, it may be a little bit obvious that you do have that firearm on your hip. So you want to make sure that you're paying attention to that. With appendix carry, it's right there in the front. Again, with the holster style that you have, it really just depends on where you want to carry it at. But again, you want to be mindful. The reason I tend to push people toward appendix carry is because everything is in front of you. Just like when I was speaking about the back. You'll have to take one hand out of the fight to go behind you to pull your firearm. All right. In the front, in appendix carry, everything is in front of you. So you don't have to take your hand out of the fight to be able to pull that firearm. Yes, if you need to push off, take your step back and still be able to pull your firearm from the front. If they try to attack you, you can still fend yourself off. If you need to do another push, get back, try it again. But trying to take one hand out of the fight, if you got your hand back there and they rush in again, now you got to swing your hand back around, and it just takes a little bit more time. But when you're looking at carrying, again, just really depends on where you feel comfortable with carrying at. Whatever you plan on doing, make sure that you're practicing and training with that holster, with your firearm, and put your mindset in different scenarios. How fast would you be able to pull your firearm? How fast would you be able to get on target with your firearm? All right. There's a drill that you can pretty much practice. Just imagine if you are out and about and somebody is 1 to 5 feet away from you, how quick you'll be able to push them, grab your firearm, and get on target. All right. Whether you're getting on target from here at the waist, or whether you're getting on target here at the middle of your chest to go ahead and fire your defensive shots off, then go ahead and take your steps back, giving verbal commands, and go ahead and coming out in front of you to be able to defend yourself. So it's all practice, but you want to make sure that you're practicing for your level. Don't try to jump up to somebody else's level or the type of holster that they have or anything like that. They may have a little bit more experience. So, starting off with one holster, getting better with that holster, and then moving up is another option that you can do. So don't just try to, go too high and you're not comfortable with that, because that'll be the time that you need to defend yourself if you're not comfortable with that firearm or that holster in the configuration that you may have it. All right. Let me see. The next question number 4. What basically is the biggest reason people would get attacked, and how do you avoid that attack? The biggest reason people get attacked is not paying attention. All right. Situational awareness, not paying attention. The majority of us, even if we're out in public, we are in our phone. The majority of the time that we're out in public, we are in our phone. We are either in the phone, we're on the phone, holding it up, speakerphone, this hand, or whichever hand you hold your phone with. You've already taken that one hand out of the fight. All right. Because now you have to think, am I going to just drop my phone to defend myself and break my phone? That's my communication line right there on my phone. All right. So if I drop my phone and break it, if I am able to overpower this attacker, now I can't call the police to get the police on scene because my phone is broke. Okay. I usually try to tell people, I know maybe everybody can't afford it, but getting some type of earpiece, like me, I always will have a Bluetooth or something like that in my ear. Keep my hands free. All right. Keep your hands free. Try not to have things in your hand. Attackers look for that. All right. If you're not paying attention, attackers look for that. If you're a family and you're out with your children, make sure your children are walking in front of you, not behind you, and you're in your phone, not paying attention to your children. Attackers kidnap kids. All right. So you want to make sure that you're looking and being aware of what's going on surround you. That's not only in public, but it's also at your home as well. Of course, our home is our safe space. We really don't think nothing will happen in our home, but we still have to make sure that we have some situational awareness of what's going on around our house, even when we're in the house. All right. But that's pretty much one of the number one, and I would say number 2 things: people being in their cell phone, not paying attention, and not being aware of what's going on around you. Some people may get out and walk right into a issue because they're not paying attention when they get out of their car, or let's say when they get off the bus, they got their phone in their hand. As soon as they get out of the car, they could just be walking to a issue. Now, where you could have avoided that issue and came back to let's say the store, came back to the store later or something like that, or went to another store, you're not paying attention to what's going on. So you walk right into that issue or that situation. Now, you could potentially be involved in that situation as well, and all you had to do was be aware of your surroundings. All right. So just making sure that when you're out in public, make sure you're aware of what's going on around you. If you're going to a store, if you're going to the mall, even if you're going to a family member's house, going to the park, something like that, when you pull up, make sure as you're approaching wherever you're going to park, scan the area, see what's going on around you before you park. When you park, try not to hop straight out of your car to go into wherever it is. I know a lot of times we're in a rush. We go to the store, we want to go in, get what we need, and go ahead and get out and go ahead and go about our day. But spend 15, 30 seconds, look around. Look at the car. If you're parking in between cars, look at the cars that are around you. It could be people sitting in those cars. Look in your rear view mirrors. See if there's somebody sitting in the car behind you. All right. Just be mindful of what's going on around you. Again, I know a lot of times we're like, we just go run into the store. We're going to go ahead and come back out. Just take a couple seconds to think about your life. Pay attention to your surroundings. Yes, it may be a couple seconds for us to run in and go in and get what we need, but it can also be a couple seconds for us to hop out of our car and be attacked right there where our car is at because we didn't look to see what was going on around us. Let's see. Again, with the phones, that if you have some type of earpiece or if you can get some type of Bluetooth or something that can keep your hands free. When you're walking from your car into the store, it doesn't really take a long time to walk into the store. If you get a text message or a phone call or something like that or whatnot, get from your vehicle into that space where you have cameras, where you have witnesses, all of that. Get from one area to the other area before you check your phone. Because walking while you're trying to check your phone, again, for one, you can trip on something and fall because your attention is in your phone. You're not paying attention to what's going on around you because your attention is in your phone. So just being aware of what's going on around you. So just make sure that you're paying attention to that. Again, that's pretty much like one of the biggest things that attackers look for. Who's not paying attention? All right. You can have two people. Let's say if you have two people sitting in the park. You can have a man looking at a cell phone in the park. You can have a woman sitting in the park, but she's paying attention to what's going on. An attacker, even though the man is bigger, he's a weaker attack because he's not paying attention to what's going on around him. So an attacker would attack the man before he attacked the lady. All right. If you see something or if you see someone, make eye contact with them. Speak to them. Give them a head nod or something just to say, I see you. That can stop an attack right there. All right. So just being mindful of what you're doing, being mindful of the area and what's going on around you. The next topic that I'm going to speak about, actually, I had one of my brothers actually ask me about this, but different holsters for, let's say if you're overweight. That is a great question because, again, you have so many manufacturers that make so many different type of holsters. It really just depends on what's comfortable for you. I really can't consider what overweight would be, but, because, I mean, you can have somebody that may have my body style, my body type, and they may say that they're overweight. You may have somebody else that, has more of a, let's say, a stomach, and they're having a hard time finding a holster that would sit comfortably because of their body type. There are companies that make holsters. I'm not really going to say specifically for overweight people, but they do have some holsters that are a little bit more comfortable if you are an overweight person. So it's more so just looking at different type of holsters, going in and doing some research. I really haven't done a lot of research pertaining to overweight holsters, but just going in, probably doing a Google search for holsters that people may tend to get if they're overweight. Again, there's a lot of different companies, whether you have big box store companies that are like widely known worldwide, kind of like Safariland, Blade Tech. Let me see. There's a lot of different holsters. Lasco. But there's a lot of different type of holsters. There are some other holsters that you may not even be familiar with, really, because you do have some companies that are, let's say, small businesses that make holsters as well. But just doing like a search of what let's say overweight people may think are good holsters. But again, I mean, you can go to a store, you can go to a big box store or something like that. If you have a Cabela's or Bass Pro or some of those different type of stores, go in and try a couple different holsters out, see how they fit with your body type. Then, like I say, instead of buying that holster that day or while you're standing there in the store, you can do a Google search of what may be a good holster for overweight personnel. Pull it up on YouTube and see if you have people talking about holsters that may even be ran by a small company that you'll be able to purchase from a small company on either Amazon or on their website. And it's not widely known, but you know, you have a lot of people that may be overweight that does have these holsters and have went through multiple holsters to try to find one that is comfortable for them with them being overweight. That actually, like I say, that's a real good question, and I might end up doing some research on holsters for people that are overweight, just to give a little bit more of an in-depth uh, answer for you. I apologize because I'm not very versed in those specific type of holsters. But again, I mean, you could have a person that's overweight that want to go with a belly band holster. You could have people that are overweight that may want to go with, you know, regular retention holsters. Again, depending on how big the firearm is and what their comfort level is with putting their firearm wherever they're going to carry it at. So that more so depends on the type of holster that you go with, the type of firearm that you have, how big the firearm is, where you plan on wearing the firearm. There's a couple different things that you have to look at when you're looking at getting a holster for, let's say, again, if you're overweight. So it's a few things that you have to pretty much take into consideration if you are looking at those holsters. I'm gonna go ahead and take the shield, and I'm gonna go ahead and grab the Glock because the Glock don't have all of those attachments and everything on it. But I'm pretty much just going to do this again. Check the Glock, then slide a magazine in, and it is empty. And do the same thing with the shield. No magazine, it is still empty. But I'm pretty much just going to take these two, pretty much just to look at the profile of both of these firearms. So as you can see, the shield is a lot thinner than the Glock. This is the Glock 19. This is a Gen 4, Glock 19 4-inch barrel. The shield is again, the 3.1-inch barrel. So if we line them up back here on the back, so you can see how much of a difference there is between the slide. All right, so that'll be pretty much your barrel for the most part, and then you can see the thickness. The Glock is thicker than the shield. The Glock is a double stack magazine. So you can see the magazine well is also wider on the Glock than the shield. So again, it really just depends on what type of firearm you're planning on carrying, the type of holster you plan on carrying, and what feels comfortable for you if you are overweight. But again, just because you're overweight does not mean that you cannot defend yourself or get a holster or anything like that just because you're overweight. Keep that in mind. I'm not at no point saying do not get a holster or look for a holster that's comfortable for you because you're overweight. Everybody can defend themselves, no matter what your body style is or anything like that. Again, just make sure that you're doing your due diligence and make sure that you're getting something that is comfortable for you and your body type. Again, I mean, we can take that a little bit step further, not really being overweight, but again, if we go back to the type of clothes that you wear, if you are, let's say you're a young lady and you're more so like yoga pants, leggings, nice fitted shirts, things like that, that you may want to look at a holster that would accommodate those type of clothing items that you wear. If you more of a let's see, a business style. You may wear skirts, dresses, things like that, just depending on your lifestyle. You may want to look at a holster that will accommodate that type of dress wear. If you're a man, if you're always wearing suits, look for a holster that accommodates that type of dress wear. Like I said, I mean, there's many different firearm options out here, many different firearm sizes, many different holsters that would accommodate those firearms, and many different holsters that would be comfortable and would conceal your firearm the way that you would like it to be concealed. So just make sure that you're paying attention to, again, the type of firearm you have, the type of holsters that are out here, whether you're doing an OWB outside the waistband or IWB inside the waistband. the area, the position that you're carrying in, whether it's appendix carry, hip carry, if you do end up going with lower back carry. So all of those options and all of that information pretty much ties in together. Firearm or carrying a firearm in your state, whether you can do an open carry or if you have to do conceal carry. Let's see, holster options, positions, holster positions as far as carry positions, and then situational awareness. So avoiding different type of situations, being able to notice different situations before you even get to that situation. So again, all of these tend to go together. It's just, like I say, depending on a lot of different options on what you plan on doing and what you plan on not doing. But again, it is specific more so to each person. Every person is not the same. Something that may work for me may not work for you. And something that may work for you may not work for me. Even though I've been carrying firearms for years, there are certain things that I train with, certain things that I practice with. Me going into something new or trying out something new, now I would have to put all those hours into training myself and doing all of that with whatever new piece of equipment that I get, just making sure I'm training with it, making sure that I'm getting knowledgeable with it, making sure I'm finding out the ins and outs about it, all of that before I decide to carry it. Let's see. I think that may be it. But again, if you have any other questions, just let me know, and I would be here to answer those questions for you. All right. Thank you for watching. Later.